The rain hammered the roof of their modest craftsman bungalow in Portland, like it was trying to drown out the truth Sean had just unleashed. "I'm gay, Sarah. I've been carrying this like a stone in my gut for years, 15 years of us. And I love you. But not like that." Her face crumpled not in rage, but in the slow, aching recognition of a map she'd never fully read. And in that moment, the world outside blurred into irrelevance as their daughter's crayon drawing fluttered to the floor. A rainbow smeared with unintended prophecy. Sarah's hand trembled as she reached for him, not to strike, but to steady them both against the shatter of their shared life. "Sean. After the house, the school runs, the vows we whispered under that oak in Eugene." He sank to his knees on the linoleum, the cold seeping through his jeans, and whispered back, "Because lying to you is killing me slower than any storm." Sean had always known, in that bone-deep way you know the color of your own blood, that he was different. Growing up in the shadow of the Columbia River Gorge, where the wind whipped through the evergreens like God's own sigh, he'd watched his buddies chase skirts at high school bonfires while he stole glances at the curve of their shoulders under flannel shirts. The love, real love, wasn't for boys like him, not in a town where his mother, Evelyn, ruled the PTA with an iron fist wrapped in pearl earrings, preaching family values like scripture from her Baptist pulpit. "Blood is thicker than water, she'd say, her voice a velvet blade. And ours runs pure." He'd buried it all under layers of normalcy, college at Oregon State, where he majored in environmental engineering because it felt safe, like building dams against floods he couldn't name. Then Sarah, bright, unyielding Sarah with her wild auburn curls and laugh that echoed like wind chimes in a summer breeze. She was the girl who dragged him to indie folk concerts in dive bars, who dreamed of adopting a rescue dog named after a beat poet. They met at a rally for the Willamette River cleanup, her sign reading, "Save our salmon," while his said, "One drop at a time." It was easy to fall into her orbit, to let the world believe he was the steady anchor she needed. They married young, at 24, in a backyard ceremony with mason jars of wildflowers and a playlist of Fleet Foxes. Lily came 2 years later, a squalling bundle of joy with Sarah's curls and Sean's quiet eyes. And for a while, the facade held. But cracks spiderwebbed through it like drought-fissured earth. Nights when Sarah reached for him in the dark, he'd feign exhaustion from site visits, his mind wandering to the rough-hewn hands of the contractors he supervised, the easy camaraderie of men unburdened by secrets. He'd wake sweating from dreams of stolen kisses in logging camps, only to roll over and murmur apologies into her hair. Therapy helped, discreet sessions with a counselor in Beaverton who nodded sagely over chamomile tea, but it was like patching a hole with tape. The pressure built, a seismic rumble under the Cascade foothills, until one gray November morning, as Lily hummed "Twinkle Twinkle" in her booster seat, Sean pulled the car over on the drive to preschool and told Sarah everything. Not in a roadside ditch. No, that would have been too cinematic for their quiet unraveling. They made it home first, the wipers slapping rhythm like a metronome to his confession. Inside, with Lily napping upstairs, the words tumbled out over cooling coffee. Sarah didn't scream. She didn't hurl accusations like the lightning that forked over Mount Hood in summer storms. Instead, she sat across from him at the scarred oak table they'd scavenged from a garage sale in Selwood, her fingers tracing the grain as if mapping an escape route. "Tell me," she said finally, her voice a threadbare whisper, "how long have you known? Sean swallowed, tasting bile. Since forever. But I thought love could be enough. That I could will it into shape. Like bending rebar on a bridge built. She nodded. Slow. Like she was absorbing a blueprint. And Lily? This house with the creaky porch swing where we dreamed up her future? We keep it, he said. Desperation clawing his throat. Co-parent. Friends. Whatever piece we can carve out. I don't want to blow up her world, or yours. Sarah's eyes, green as the moss on old-growth cedars, searched his face. Minutes stretched into an eternity of rain patter and distant siren wails from Division Street. Then, remarkably, she left a small, broken sound that cracked something open in him. Peace, she echoed, tasting the word. Yeah. We've fought enough battles for the rivers. Let's not make this one a war. They spent the afternoon drafting a pact. Not on paper, but in the fragile architecture of promises. Joint custody. No lawyers yet. Therapy for all three. Sarah would stay in the house for stability. Sean would crash on the futon at his buddy Mark's downtown loft until he found a place. By evening, as Lily chased fireflies in the backyard, Portland's unseasonable mildness a small mercy. They sat on the swing, shoulders touching, watching their daughter spin in innocent circles. I loved you, Sean, Sarah murmured, her head on his shoulder. I still do. In a way. But not the way I thought. I know, he replied, his chest aching like a fresh welt. Thank you for letting me be honest. That night, alone in Mark's spare room with its view of the Burnside Bridge lights flickering like hesitant stars, Sean wept, not for loss, but for the mercy of release. For the first time in years, he breathed without the weight of pretense, the air tasting of wet pavement and possibility. Words spread in whispers through their circle, the running group that pounded the Forest Park trails at dawn. The book club where Sarah dissected Jhumpa Lahiri over Pinot Noir. Friends rallied with casseroles and awkward hugs, their support a bomb laced with curiosity. You're brave, Mark clapped him on the back one night over IPAs at the Alberta Street pub, his eyes kind but probing. Takes guts to rewrite the story mid-chapter. Sean nodded, nursing his pint. Feels more like starting from scratch. But scratch he did. Tentatively. He downloaded apps, Grindr, Scruff, with the furtive thrill of a teenager sneaking smokes behind the bleachers. Swipes turned to chats. Chats to coffees. But nothing stuck. Men his age carried their own baggage, exes. The grind of tech jobs in Silicon Forest. One date, an architect named Tyler with a jawline like carved basalt, leaned in over lattes at Coava and said, "You're fresh out? That rawness. It's hot." They tumbled into bed that night, bodies slick with urgency, but dawn brought awkward goodbyes and a ghosting text that read, "You're great, but I'm not ready for the drama." Rejection stung, but it sharpened him, honed the edges of his longing. He threw himself into work, overseeing the retrofit of a salmon hatchery on the Sandy River, where the water ran clear and fierce, mirroring the clarity he craved. Lily's weekends with him were sanctuaries, picnics under the cherry blossoms in Washington Park, stories read in voices that danced without restraint. "Daddy, why do you smile more now?" she asked one afternoon, her small hand in his as they fed ducks at the duck pond. "Because I'm learning to be me, kiddo," he said, lifting her onto his shoulders. The real me, Sarah watched from afar. Her own life blooming in quiet ways. A promotion at the nonprofit. A tentative flirtation with a colleague who shared her passion for urban foraging. They met weekly at a neutral diner on Hawthorne, dissecting schedules over hash browns, their conversations laced with the tenderness of survivors. "You're glowing," she told him once, squeezing his hand across the formica. "Whoever he is, hold on." But there was no he yet. Not until Alex. It happened on a whim. A Friday in early spring when the dogwoods erupted in pink defiance against the drizzle. Sean had signed up for a queer hiking group through Meetup, Trails and Tales, LGBTQ+ edition, half expecting a gaggle of awkward millennials. The trailhead at Eagle Creek was alive with chatter. Backpacks slung low. Thermoses steaming. He lagged at the rear, nursing a thermos of black coffee, when a voice cut through the mist. "You look like you're plotting a mutiny back here. Need a co-conspirator?" Turning, Sean met eyes the color of smoked quartz, warm, knowing. Alex was 32. A freelance photographer with sun-bleached hair tied in a loose ponytail. Freckles dusting his nose like cinnamon on latte foam. He wore cargo shorts despite the chill. A faded Radiohead tee clinging to his lean frame. Camera slung around his neck like a talisman. "I'm Alex," he said, extending a hand calloused from shutter clicks. "And you strike me as someone who's got stories worth framing." Sean shook it, feeling the spark, electric, unignorable. Sean. And yeah, maybe a few. Most of them messy. They fell into step. The group stringing out ahead like beads on a frayed cord. Alex drew him out with easy questions. Favorite trail? Multnomah Falls? For the mist-kissed romance. Guilty pleasure? Craft IPAs and Old Springsteen. What brought him out here? Fresh start, Sean admitted. Skirting roots slick with dew. Just came out to my wife. We're figuring it. Alex nodded. No pity. Just solidarity. Mine was a slow burn. Family disowned me at 19. So I burned my own bridges first. Now I chase light for a living. Makes the shadows easier to navigate. By the waterfall's roar. Where spray misted their faces like shared secrets. Something shifted. Laughter came freer. Touches lingered. A hand on an elbow during a stream crossing. Eyes locking in the dappled underlight. At the trail's end. Over post-hike burritos at a taqueria in Hood River. Alex scribbled his number on a napkin. Text me. We could use more co-conspirators. Sean did. That night. From his new apartment in the Pearl District, a shoebox studio with exposed brick and a view of the Willamette glittering under street lamps. Their first real date was a week later, Powell's City of Books. Wandering aisles thick with the scent of ink and possibility. Then dim some in the old town Chinatown where lanterns swayed like fireflies. Alex's knee brushed his under the table, and Sean felt it like a current, pulling him under. Your trouble, Sean murmured as they strolled the waterfront esplanade. The steel bridge arching overhead like a promise. Alex grinned, dimples flashing. The best kind. The kind that sticks. Kisses came later, under the awning of a shuttered bookstore as rain pattered soft applause. Alex tasted of ginger and green tea, his hands framing Sean's face with a gentleness that unraveled him. They made love that night in Alex's loft in the East Side Industrial. A space cluttered with prints of misty forests and urban grit, bodies tangling in sheets that smelled of sage and darkroom chemicals. Sean arched into him, gasping names like prayers, the world narrowing to the press of skin, the rhythm of breaths sinking like tides. Afterward, tangled in limbs and quiet, Alex traced the scar on Sean's collarbone, a relic from a childhood by crash. "Tell me about her," he said softly. "Sarah." Sean hesitated, then spilled it, the pact, the quarantine, the fragile piece. "She's my compass still. Always will be." "Admirable," Alex replied, pressing a kiss to his temple. Rare as a clear day in July. In the weeks that followed, bloomed, fierce, unguarded. Weekends with Lily included Alex tentatively kite-flying in Laurelhurst Park, where her giggles bridged the newness. Sarah met him over coffee, her verdict delivered with a wry smile. "He makes you light up." Sean. "Don't fuck it up." Evelyn, Sean's mother, remained a specter on the periphery. She lived in their old family home in Gresham. A ranch-style relic with a manicured lawn and a cross-stitched "home is where the heart is" above the mantel. Calls came weekly, laced with updates on church potlucks and veiled probes. "When are you bringing that little angel Lily for a visit? And Sarah, how's she holding up with your projects at work?" Sean deflected, heart pounding. The lie now a shield turned inward. He should have known peace was a luxury she wouldn't allow. Summer unfurled over Portland like a lazy fever dream, blue skies cracked open after months of gray. The city exhaling into festivals and farmers' markets heavy with berry scent and busker fiddles. Sean and Alex dove into it headlong, their rhythm settling like silt after a flood. Mornings began with Alex's camera clicking soft-focus shots of Sean brewing coffee in boxers, steam curling like cigarette smoke in the loft's high windows. Afternoons bled into engineering site visits for Sean, blueprints unrolling under his steady hands, while Alex roamed the gorge chasing golden hour on basalt cliffs. Evenings were theirs, picnics on the banks of the Willamette, where freighters hooted like lonely whales, or curling up on Alex's worn leather couch with takeout pho and episodes of The Wire, Sean's head in his lap as fingers carded through his hair. "You know," Alex said one night, the TV flickering blue across their bare skin, "I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. The part where you realize I'm just a rebound Polaroid." Sean lifted his head, tracing the constellation of freckles across Alex's chest. "You're the full role, developing into something real." He meant it. In Alex's gaze, he saw reflections of himself unwarped, the engineer who dreamed of sustainable bridges spanning divides, the father who built forts from couch cushions, the man who craved touch without apology. Lily adored him, dubbing Alex Uncle Cam after he taught her to frame masterpieces with his Nikon, blurry shots of dandelions and her own gap-toothed grin. At a backyard barbecue in Sarah's yard, now Sean's occasional crash pad for handyman fixes, the four of them gelled into an unconventional constellation. Sarah grilled portobellos with a flourish, her new beau, Jamie, a soft-spoken botanist with a penchant for edible weeds, chiming in with facts about nettle tea. To new beginnings, she toasted with craft cider, clinking bottles under string lights that swayed in the breeze off the river. Evelyn's invitation arrived like a storm warning, a crisp cardstock envelope, postmarked Gresham, summoning Sean and the family for her annual Independence Day cookout. "Bring Sarah and that precious girl," it read in her looping cursive. "We'll fire up the grill and remember what America's really about, unity under God." Sean's stomach knotted reading it, the subtext a barbed wire fence. "Go," Sarah urged when he showed her. folding laundry on the living room rug while Lily colored nearby. Rip the Band-Aid. She's your mom, what? Remember? He almost bailed, citing a work deadline, but Alex's hand on his knee that morning steadied him. You faced worse trails, he said, kissing Sean's knuckles. And I'll be here with the Victory IPA when you summit. The drive to Gresham was a descent into memory, subdivisions giving way to the family home, its flagpoles stark against the overcast sky. Evelyn waited on the porch, floral apron tied over her khakis, silver hair pinned in a chignon that defied the humidity. There's my boy, she called, enveloping him in a hug that smelled of Chanel No. 5 and simmering brisket. Lily squealed from her car seat, Gamma, and bolted into her arms. Sarah played her part seamlessly, chatting about Lily's preschool art show while helping set the picnic table with checkered cloths and deviled eggs. No mention of separations, just, we're keeping busy, delivered with a conspirator's wink. Evelyn's eyes, sharp as shears, flicked over them, but she nodded, pouring sweet tea with lemon wedges. Family's the backbone of this country, she declared, clinking glasses. Especially now, with all the changes out there. Sean forced a smile, flipping burgers on the Weber while sweat beaded his brow. The neighborhood buzzed with firecracker pops and laughter from adjacent yards, red, white, and blue streamers fluttering like surrender flags. Lily chased cousins with sparklers, her face alight, and for a stolen moment, Sean let himself believe in the illusion. Defractured over pie, apple, lattice crust perfection cooling on wire racks. As plates cleared, Evelyn cornered him in the kitchen, her voice low under the hum of the dishwasher. Sarah looks tired. Sean, you working her too hard with those long hours? He leaned against the counter, suds from rinsing plates dripping onto his sneakers. We're good. Really? Her gaze narrowed, a hawk sighting prey. Don't lie to me, son. I've seen the way you glance at those boys in the city. At the hardware store last week, that clerk with the tattoos, your eyes lingered. The words landed like a gut punch, stealing his breath. How had she known? Stalked his routines? Or worse, intuited the fracture lines? Mom, he started, but she pressed on, her hand on his arm a vice of maternal claim. Whatever this phase is, we fix it. For Lily. For the legacy. Her tone brooked no argument, laced with the fervor of her prayer circles, exorcising sins with potlucks and pamphlets. Sean pulled away, heart hammering, and excused himself to the backyard, where fireworks bloomed overhead in defiant color. He didn't tell Alex that night, collapsing into bed with excuses of traffic. But the seed was planted, a thorn under skin. Evelyn's fix simmered in the background as Sean's world brightened elsewhere. He and Alex took a road trip up the Oregon coast, chasing 101's curves in Alex's battered Subaru, windows down to salt wind and crashing waves. They camped at Oswald West State Park, bodies entwined in a tent under stars that pierced the coastal fog. Sean's confessions spilling like tide pools, childhood crushes on the wrestling team captain, the terror of prom with a beard in a borrowed tux. You're a survivor, Alex whispered, his breath warm against Sean's neck. Like those ancient cedars, rooted deep, bending but unbroken. In Cannon Beach, they walked Haystack Rock at low tide, starfish clinging to anemones in vibrant defiance. Alex knelt suddenly. Not in proposal but play. Splashing seawater at Sean with a boyish whoop. Laughter bubbled up. Free and fierce. Chasing shadows. They made love on a blanket spread on the sand. The ocean's roar muffling moans. Salt crusting their skin like tears turned sacred. Back in Portland, reality reasserted. Work deadlines piled. A bid for a pedestrian bridge over the Burnside. Designs that spanned gaps both literal and metaphorical. Sarah's relationship with Jamie deepened. They talked rings over brunches at Screen Door. Her excitement a mirror to Sean's own. Lily started soccer. Her tiny cleats kicking goals with unbridled joy. Sean and Alex cheering from the sidelines, two dads in a sea of minivans. Evelyn's next move was subtler. A serpent in the garden. She began dropping by unannounced afternoons at Lily's school pickup, bearing Tupperware of lasagna and sidelong glances at Sean's car. Now solo in the driveway. "Where's Sarah's Subaru?" she'd ask innocently, while Lily hugged her legs. "She's got meetings," he'd lie, bundling his daughter into the Prius. But the questions escalated. Laced with scripture. The Bible says a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife. What are you cleaving to these days? He endured it. For peace's sake. Confiding only fragments to Alex over late-night calls. She's like a force of nature, unmovable. Then weather her, Alex advised. His voice a anchor. But don't let her erode you. The erosion came in autumn's first chill. Leaves turning the streets to fire. Sean had planned a surprise. Tickets to a Mumford & Sons concert at the Edgefield. Alex's favorite venue amid amphitheater ruins. But Evelyn intercepted, phoning Sarah directly, bypassing Sean entirely. "I need to talk," she said, her tone brooking no refusal. "About our boy." They met at a tea house in Gresham. Neutral ground with chintz curtains and potpourri air. Sarah arrived wary, stirring chamomile as Evelyn unfolded her tale, whispers of Sean's deviancy, pieced from overheard church gossip and her own sleuthing, screenshots from a careless app notification glimpsed during a surprise visit. "He's confused, dear," Evelyn said, patting Sarah's hand like a penitent. "The stress of fatherhood, those city influences. But we can save him, counseling. For Lily's sake." Sarah's response was steel wrapped in silk. "Evelyn, Sean's not broken. He's honest. Finally. And we're choosing each other differently now. If you love him, support that." But Evelyn's eyes gleamed with zealot fire. "Love means correction, Sarah. And I've already spoken to Pastor Hale. Sessions start next week, mandatory for family reconciliation." Sarah left shaken, texting Sean from the parking lot, "Your mom's on a crusade. Heads up." He confronted her that evening, pulling into the driveway as dusk bruised the sky. Evelyn stood on the porch, arms crossed, unrepentant. "I'm protecting our bloodline. This perversion ends now." Perversion. The word ignited him. Years of suppression flaring. "I'm gay. It's not a phase, it's me. And if you can't accept that, you're the one breaking the family." She recoiled as if slapped, but her chin lifted in defiance. "Blood's thicker. You'll see." Driving away. Fists white on the wheel. Sean felt the fracture widen, a chasm no bridge could span. Alex waited with open arms. But the seed of doubt had taken root. whispering of betrayals yet to bloom. Winter clamped down on Portland with uncharacteristic ferocity, snow blanketing the rose gardens in silent accusation, icicles daggering from eaves like frozen resentments. Sean's life, once a steady current, now eddied with undertows. Work provided refuge. The Burnside Bridge project won the bid. His designs lauded in a city council meeting where fluorescent lights hummed over PowerPoints and handshakes. Innovative, the commissioner said, clapping his shoulder. You build connections that last. If only personal ones were so sturdy. Evelyn's intervention escalated from pleas to plots. She enlisted allies, Pastor Hale's deacon, a distant aunt in Salem, bombarding Sean with voicemails laced with scripture and sobs. Come home, son. Let us heal you. He blocked numbers. But she pivoted to Lily, showering her with gifts that arrived like Trojan horses, a dollhouse with traditional family figurines, books on God's perfect plan slipped into bedtime stacks. Sarah intercepted most, her botanist calm fraying at the edges. This isn't love, Sean, it's control, she said over video call one night. Jamie's arm around her shoulders in their cozy Alberta bungalow. She's weaponizing your daughter. I know, he admitted, pacing his studio as snow flurried past the window. Alex, sketching thumbnails on the coffee table, looked up with concern etching his brow. But cutting her off. It feels like amputating a limb. Alex set down his pencil, drawing Sean onto the couch. Sometimes surgery saves the body. You're not abandoning her, you're saving yourself. The advice lingered as Sean navigated the minefield. He doubled down on therapy, sessions in a sunlit office overlooking the Pearls food carts, where his counselor, a no-nonsense dyke named Rita with a buzz cut and tattooed forearms, unpacked the generational knots. Your mother's clinging to a narrative where she's the savior, Rita said, leaning forward. But heroes don't need victims. What's your story? Without her script. The question haunted him through holiday lights twinkling on Nob Hill and New Year's fireworks exploding over the river. Christmas was a negotiated truce, Evelyn hosted, but Alex stayed home, sending Sean off with a care package of spiked cocoa mix and a note, "Come back to me whole." At the ranch house, tensions simmered under tinsel, Evelyn's eyes darting to Sean's empty ring finger, her toasts to enduring families landing like lead. Oblivious, tore into presence with glee, her new camera from Alex capturing Evelyn's forced smiles in pixelated innocence. New Year's brought a pivot. Sean and Alex rang it in at a queer speakeasy in the basement of a Chinatown apothecary, cocktails in jade coupes. Drag queens lip-syncing to Bowie under velvet drapes. As Auld Lang Syne swelled, Alex pulled him close amid the crush, whispering, "This year, we build something unbreakable." But Evelyn's machinations brewed unseen. She'd hired a private investigator, discreet, ex-cop from her church network, tasking him with evidence for a family intervention. Folders arrived at her door, photos of Sean and Alex at the coast, timestamps from app pings, even a blurry shot of their first kiss under the bookstore awning. "Proof," she murmured to Pastor Hale over coffee in his study. The folder a Pandora's box. We confront him with love, show him the cost to his soul. His daughter. Hale nodded, his jowls quivering. Tough love. Evelyn. For the greater good. Spring thawed the ice, but not the chill. Sean's bridge project broke ground, steel girders rising like vertebrae over the coulee, A testament to engineered grace. Alex documented it, his lens capturing Sean's focus amid hard hats and welder sparks, images that later hung framed in their shared space. A one-bedroom in the Buckman neighborhood they'd leased together. Boxes still half unpacked. Lily thrived in the shift, shuttling between homes with backpacks slung like a nomad. "I like two houses," she declared at a pancake breakfast, syrup smudging her chin. More forts. Sarah and Jamie's wedding loomed, small. Elopement style in a Skamania wildflower meadow, and Sean walked her down the aisle in rehearsal dreams. His role paternal? Not possessive. The betrayal erupted on a muggy May evening. The kind where thunderheads piled like unspoken grief. Sean arrived home from a site inspection to find Alex on the couch. Face ashen. A manila envelope clutched in his fist. "Your mom," he said. Voice hollow. "She sent this to my gallery. To my clients. False accusations, calling me a predator preying on married men. My Portland show? Cancelled. Sponsors pulled out." Sean snatched the envelope, spilling its venom, printed emails. Doctored timelines painting him as a serial deceiver. Alex's homewrecker. A note in Evelyn's hand, "Protecting my family from your poison." And this. Or Lily learns the truth of her father's shame. Rage boiled up, hot as arc welder flame. She wouldn't. She did. Alex's eyes. Usually warm. Now fractured with hurt. "I get family drama." Sean lived it. But this? It's sabotage. Sean stormed out, tires screeching toward Gresham as rain lashed the windshield. The confrontation unfolded in her kitchen, fluorescent buzz underscoring the fury. "How could you?" he roared, slamming the folder on the counter. "Ruin his life, our lives, for your bigotry?" Evelyn didn't flinch. Her posture ramrod. "Bigotry? I'm saving you. From hellfire. From scandal. Lily needs a father. Not a freak show." The word detonated. Sean recoiled, vision blurring. "That's not love. That's yours. Not mine." She turned to leave, but she clutched his arm, tears streaking her powder. "Say, we'll fix this. Therapy? Prayer? No." He wrenched free, the door slamming like a guillotine. Driving back, sobs racked him, the wipers futile against the deluge. Alex waited, not with demands, but quiet strength, arms enveloping as Sean collapsed through the door. "I'm sorry," Sean choked. "I thought peace was possible." "It is," Alex murmured, rocking him. "But sometimes peace means boundaries. Well, not bridges." The fallout rippled, Alex's career teetered, gigs drying up as whispers spread through the art scene. Sean rallied friends. Mark fronted legal fees for a cease and desist. Sarah drafted a protective order for Lily's visits. Evelyn went silent, a vacuum sucking at Sean's resolve. He visited her once more. Post-legal salvo. In the sterile hush of her living room, cross looming like judgment. "Why?" he asked, voice raw. "I needed you." "Not this." She sat prim, hands folded. "I needed my son back. The one who fit." He left with a finality that hollowed him. That son's gone. This one's staying away. Summer scorched in. Wildfires smoking the horizon, mirroring the burn. Sean threw himself into the bridge's completion, ribbon cutting under July sun. Dignitaries applauding as he spoke of spanning divides with intention. Alex stood in the crowd, camera raised, his smile a lifeline. But Evelyn's final gambit loomed, a shadow lengthening toward climax. August arrived gasping, heat waves shimmering off the Willamette like fever dreams, the city wilting under drought warnings and air thick with ash from Cascadia blazes. Sean's bridge stood complete, a graceful arc linking east and west banks, a metaphor he clung to amid personal rubble. The opening gala was a whirlwind, craft cocktails at the waterfront pavilion. Alex's photos projected on sails, capturing the build's grit and glory. To connections, the mayor toasted. But Sean's eyes sought only one, Alex's. Steady across the crowd, promising endurance. Evelyn's silence had lulled him into false calm, a siren's hush before the gale. It shattered on Labor Day weekend, Lily's 6th birthday, a joint affair at the Oregon Zoo, where flamingos strutted pink pom-poms and monkeys swung in lazy arcs. Sarah and Jamie manned the cake, vanilla with rainbow sprinkles. Irony not lost. While Sean and Alex corralled kids at the petting zoo, goats nibbling cupcake crumbs from tiny palms. Lily beamed in her princess gown, clutching a stuffed sloth from Uncle Cam. The call came mid-party, Sean's phone buzzing insistent in his pocket. Unknown number, Evelyn's burner. He knew instantly. Grandma? Lily perked up, but he silenced it, heart thudding. Later, as dusk painted the savannah exhibit's gold, the text arrived, a video link, time-stamped that afternoon. Sean stepped away, under the acacia shade, thumb hovering before clicking. The footage grainy. Phone shot, Evelyn in her kitchen, Lily perched on a stool they'd visited weeks prior. But the words, twisted like barbed wire. Gamma? Why don't you and Daddy talk anymore? Lily's voice, small and piping. Evelyn's face filled the frame, crocodile tears glistening. Because Daddy's sick, sweetheart. Very sick in his heart. He loves bad things now, like in those stories grown-ups whisper. It makes him lie. Her mommy. But Gamma's praying for him to get better, so we can all be a real family again. Lily's brow furrowed, confusion clouding her eyes. Like when I had the flu. Medicine? Something like that? Angel. Stronger medicine. Promise Gamma you'll help. Tell Daddy to listen to the nice pastor? The video cut. Lily's not a dagger. Sean retched into the bushes, the zoo's equatorial heat closing like a vice. Betrayal. Weaponized through innocence, Evelyn's masterstroke. Poisoning the well of trust. He confronted her that night, alone. The ranch house dark save for porch lights' jaundiced glow. She answered in robe and slippers, unperturbed. Sean. Come for cake. You used her, he hissed, thrusting the phone forward. Twisted my daughter's love into your hate. Evelyn's lips thinned. Son. She deserves it, not your delusions. Truth. Fury crested. Crashing. My truth is I love Alex. I love Lily. Sarah, as family. Not facade. You've poisoned that for your fairy tale. She stepped forward. Hand raised not in strike but plea. I did it for you. To save. Save yourself, he shouted, voice echoing down the empty street. From a son who won't perform your script. We're done. No visits. No calls. For Lily's sake. Her face crumpled. The iron mask fracturing. You can't. Blood. Blood doesn't excuse this. Turned. The doors click a requiem. Back at the apartment, Alex held him through the sobs. Sarah joining via urgent call. We'll counter it. Therapy for Lily? Explain in age-appropriate ways. She's resilient. Like her dad. Resilience became mantra. They enrolled Lily in counseling, a play therapist with puppets and sand trays, where she processed Gamma's silly stories with crayons and hugs. Evelyn's isolation deepened. Church friends drifted. Whispers of her crusade turning to pity. Pastor Hale even called Sean contrite. She meant well. But extremes. Autumn waned into November rains. Portland streets sluicing clean. Sean's career ascended, a TEDx invite on sustainable design. Alex's portfolio rebounding with a gallery show in Seattle. Their photos intertwined, bridges and lovers. Spans of steel and skin. Lily's confusion ebbed. Her affections undivided, drawing pictures of two dads and Mom and Jamie, rainbows arching over stick-figure homes. One crisp Sunday, as maple leaves carpeted Irving Park, Sean and Alex walked Lily to the swings. Her laughter a clarion. Sarah waved from a bench. Jamie beside her with a thermos of mulled wine. Family, Alex murmured. Hand warm in Sean's. Yeah, Sean replied, squeezing back. Ours. Evelyn's reckoning came quietly. A letter arriving in Sean's mailbox like autumn's last leaf. Handwritten. Trembling script, my dearest Sean. I've prayed without ceasing, but the silence screams louder than sermons. I was afraid, not of you, but of losing the boy I raised to a world that chews up dreamers. Forgive an old fool? Not for visits yet. But a coffee? One bridge at a time. He read it aloud to Alex that night. Over takeout curry steaming on the table. What do you think? Alex considered. For paused. Your call. But remember, forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's freeing yourself. Sean burned the letter in the sink, flames licking paper. Ash swirling down the drain like released ghosts. Not yet. He decided. But the door cracked ajar. Winter solstice brought snow again, blanketing the city in hush. At Sarah and Jamie's wedding, a meadow vow under Skamania's peaks. Wildflowers nodding assent, Sean walked her down the aisle. Lily scattering petals ahead. Alex stood witness, eyes misting as vows echoed, in all ways, through all weathers, under a canopy of stars pricking the ink-black sky. Sean pulled Alex aside, the river murmuring below. Marry me? He asked. Ring simple, white gold, etched with coordinates of their first hike. Alex's yes was a kiss. Fierce and sure, sealing promises against the cold. Evelyn never came to the wedding, but a card arrived. Proud of your bridge, son. Build wisely. Progress. Incremental as dawn. In the end, peace wasn't absence of storm, but sailing through. Once adrift in secrets, now anchored in truths, love's manifold shapes. Family reforged in fire. Lily grew. Unscarred, Sarah bloomed, Alex's lens captured it all. Frames of grace. And Sean? He breathed free. The stone in his gut dissolved to dust. Carried away on Portland's relentless rain.